Okay, so it's the next day. A lot of you are triggered and it's really fun. What you guys have to understand is I have nothing left to lose. Nothing. My kids aren't allowed to go to school, so we have nothing to do with Muskogee County School District anymore. So I can say whatever I want. We're not a part of anything. You can't kick me out of anything. I do not care. Haha. All right, let's go. Let's see what these guys have to tell us about their grades.
Staff created a MCSD belief and theory of action. We're going to go over briefly of that and then recap what our summer program offerings we had during that time. Give you a little bit of data associated with student enrollment. Talk a little bit about retention and graduation data, even though that was not the function of this particular summer programming.
Oh, that's right. This is all about summer school.
Look at the
I
STAR
do not
assessment
care
data,
at all.
and then we did survey our parents, our teachers, and our
I find it funny that they can send us multiple surveys about summer school, though, but they can't survey us about COVID, like optional masking or forced masking, virtual school or in person school. Because they didn't care about what we wanted, what the taxpayers wanted, the people that pay their salaries. They do not care at all. The people that elect them, that they hide their opinions from, but laugh all over Facebook, even though they're not supposed to. No, this is the way things go in Muskogee County, which is why I'm not fighting for my kids to go to these piece of crap schools anymore. No wonder you can't get teachers and bus drivers. I would not work for Muskogee County. Oh my God. Bunch of idiots. You guys can't even update your website. Yeah, I said it. I said a bunch of idiots. I'm going to say a lot of things that you guys are going to be like, oh, and then you guys are going to cry and you're going to do lots of labels. And I do not care. I do not care.
our community partners for them to provide feedback and then give you a timeline for what we're looking at for next year. And if you look at our mainly our theory of action, we wanted to make sure we redesign our summer learning program to ensure that it was engaging and that we looked at the data and that our stakeholder involvement was there. And the idea was that if we did that, we would increase student and teacher participation and we would reduce impact of learning loss. And I want to repeat that, reduce impact.
Okay, first of all, no, that's not going to happen. But we all know the summer school program was literally just because they were just going to pass a bunch of kids on, which they did anyways. And it was free babysitting. That's why everybody signed their kids up. They didn't like them not having anywhere to go. And I mean, if it's free, it's free. I mean, we pay for it. You're welcome. But
learning loss, because that was the goal to try to do that. And I think in this information that you'll receive, you'll see that we accomplished that.
Where's your baby brother?
So, looking at the recap of our SEL program, or SLE program, excuse me, we needed to get students acclimated back.
This is what my kids are doing since you guys won't allow them in school.
They've been in a number of our students were in the virtual learning environment, so we wanted to get them acclimated back into an in-person environment. So we tried to do that with this summer learning experience, even though we did have some virtual students that were a part of that. We did a vast majority of those students were in person. We had 26 community partners that we worked with. Couldn't have done it without them. They did a fantastic job, and we were excited to have them on board. We offered meals and transportation to our students. You can see the information related to that. We transported over 3,000 students each day, and there were over 1,700 stops during this time frame. School nutrition, over 69,000 meals, 125 breakfasts, 125,000 lunches, and 13,000 snacks. I wish I was part of some of those snacks. But kudos to our transportation department and school nutrition department for working with us on that. We paid our employees their Muskogee County hourly rate, time and a half. So really tried to increase that incentive there, and they did turn out for that. Total cost, as you can see, was $8.1 million. So it was a big price tag, but I think you'll look at the number of students we worked with, money well spent. This looks at our different programming. We had 16 classes associated with our pre-K program that were in 14 sites. It was capped at 12 students per site. That was designed by the state, and the state provided funding for that. There were 29 instructional days, and they were there for a full day, just like a normal school day, 6.5 hours. Our K-8 program, we had 17 elementary sites, 18 middle school sites. Approximately, there were 15 students, give or take. There were maybe some less and some a little bit more, but approximately 15 students per class. We had 24 instructional days, and there were 4 hours per day. And if you recall, we used Scholastic and Bell Excel. Scholastic, it was our lit camp curriculum that we used that was designed specifically for a camp-type atmosphere.
Oh my God, this is so boring.
And we, based on those pictures, you can see a lot of our kids and our teachers really took off with that. So, in our Bell Excel math.
And why are we even going over these stupid summer school numbers when we're already a month into school? Like, this is when we do this? You couldn't have done this at any of the school board meetings at the end of the summer? Or the first school board meeting of the year? Like, what even is this? And who even cares?
Curriculum, really, I think you'll see some data associated with that helped out. Our high schools are 9.
Oh, that's right. No. Wait, there was like what? 3,000 kids or 6,000 kids in summer school, and we spent $8.1 million. $8.1 million tax dollars for summer school, and it wasn't even 30 days of education. $8.1 million for like 26 days of school. $8.1 million.
Schools, we generally do every year. They had approximately the same number of students and same number of days and hours, and the focus was specifically on credit recovery. And we did. There were a number of schools that mixed in some ACT and SAT prep associated with that. Here are our numbers, our student enrollment numbers, and you can see.
Hey, oh,
we
good!
had over 6,800 kids in our summer learning experience. That's probably a little right at double.
Look at
we
that.
We generally have 2,500 to 3,000.
Oh my God, are you guys okay with that? 6,818 kids went to summer school, so they got a month of school. A month of school for $8.1 million. Oh my God. That's so much money.
Students, and again, this was offered to all our students. Wasn't just offered to students.
Okay, first of all, they're going to say it was offered, but not everybody was accepted because I signed Catherine and Max both up. Both of them. They went to DEMA last year in person, and I signed them both up for summer school, and they weren't able to go. When I called Dawson about it, they said, oh, well, when a school's full, they just don't let anybody else in. So it was offered to the entire school district, but not everybody was allowed in it. My kids were not allowed in it, and I wasn't even so insanely anti-mask then. I would have allowed my kids to go even with masks on then. After a summer of no masks, we're not putting masks back on healthy kids, especially since the pediatric studies are out. They are out. Go look them up.
That were behind, it was just offered to everybody. So 6,800 kids during that time frame. And then you can look at the staff by grade levels. We had over 1,000 staff members that worked in this program. So really appreciate the staff and all our teachers, our parapros, our support staff, our administrators to help. We couldn't have done it without them. Simply couldn't have done it without them. So thank you very much to them.
We couldn't have done it without them.
Here's
no
our
crap. They're the ones running it. What are you talking
promotion,
about?
Retention, and graduation data. You can look at, and these numbers, the students enrolled were based on our state recorded data that we upload at the end of the school year. You can see in K-5 we had close to 13,800 students.
This is where we can finally see how many kids are actually here this year compared to last, though. That's awesome. Hi, buddy! Come on out. Is it raining? I think he's getting a juice. Watch. Oh, my God. All right, so 1,975 seniors, graduates at the end of the year, graduates after summer school, so total graduates. So we had a little over 100 kids not graduate. Okay, seniors, 9 through 12, so almost 2,000 of them were seniors. So that leaves us with 6,000. So hold on. We have less than 9,000 high school kids. Well, we'll see this year. I hope these are this year's numbers. Less than 9,000 high school students. And we just spent $25 million on that football field. Wow. All right.
And there's close to over 29,000 students. Now, this doesn't include pre-K.
Buddy, juice is in the bottle. Open the door.
So we had 988 slots for pre-K. But that does not include pre-K numbers. And as you can see, we looked at the number of students, and this was information provided by the schools, the number of students that were retained in May, and then the number of students that were promoted after SEL. Now, again, the design was not to as a promotion retention thing for summer learning. It was designed to engage students back in school, and the byproduct of that was that we had a number of students promoted. So we're excited about that. Yeah. And then you can see the graduation data associated with that. We had 129 students that needed to go that extra time, but that 129 students during the summer graduation.
So I don't have a calculator on me right now. I don't even know where my phone is. I know I could do it on here, but I'm sanding this picture frame. But I'm just curious, if we had 1,196 9 through 12 students, 9th grade through 12th grade students, that were retained at the end of the year, which I'm assuming means they just didn't graduate. I don't know, they weren't going to move on, so then they went to summer school to do it. And then we have 550 that were promoted onto the next grade, like graduated or onto the next grade. Okay. That means our $8.1 million has a 50% success rate in high school. Okay. There were 247 kindergarten through 5th grade kids that were retained at the end of the year. What a stupid word. Held back, not graduated, went to summer school, whatever. Who cares? And then promoted, only 38 of them. So we spent $8.1 million. Oh my God. That leaves over 200 kids not promoted. Oh my God. School and parents agree retention is the best interest of the student. So holding them back, okay. Student may not have attended SLE as recommended by the school. Well, why wouldn't we? Okay, if that's a little note at the bottom, why wouldn't you have put the number of students retained at the end of the year, then the number of students that went to summer school, then how many were promoted because of summer school? You're literally leaving out an entire data set. What are you doing? What are you doing? If we don't know how many of the 247 elementary age kids even went to summer school, then how do we know how successful summer school even is? Because 38 kids passed on to the next grade, but over 200 didn't? Same with the high schoolers. It seems 6th, 7th, and 8th did pretty good. So did most of them go? I mean, what the heck?
There are 129 students that received a high school diploma. And those students now have the opportunity to do what they need to do if they want to go into the workplace, go into technical school, or go into four-year school. They have that opportunity.
You don't need a high school
and that's
diploma.
one little piece of paper is a big piece of paper that can get kids motivated in the right direction. So, yeah, we'll put some notes down there as far as student retention. Student retention is, that's designed, we have parents that, and schools that meet throughout the year, and we have opportunities throughout the year for students to work through their academic progress, and sometimes students just need to be retained, and that's
Held
through
back,
the school and the parent. They
retained.
agree that this is in the best interest of the student, and that happens. That's not a bad thing, but we want to make sure that students have the necessary
It's not a
academic
good thing,
background
so
to
then
move
what
on
is
to
it?
the
Just
next
a
grade
thing?
level. If their academic performance, and last year was a struggle, I would say, with attendance, because we had a number of students in virtual environment. Really tough to gauge how to see virtual kids and whether they're attending.
But Muskogee
but,
County School District is
if
going to
the-
start a
if the
virtual
attendance wasn't
franchise
there
because
and
they
there
do
was a
so
large
good
number
in
of
person.
absences and their academic progress wasn't there, then we see that there may be a need to retain.
Okay.
So we want our schools, and the schools, they will conduct promotion retention meetings, talk to parents before students are retained, to make sure that everybody's on the same page and the success plan that they need to have as they go to the next school year. Now we'll have Mr. Knopf come up and talk briefly about the STAR assessment data. As you recall, we wanted to use STAR because we use that as a universal screener, and we had them take the assessment at the end of the school year. And so, again, we want to make sure that we looked at reducing the impact of learning loss. And I think
He's
if
okay
you look
playing
at this
out
data,
here.
we'll see that we've done some of that, accomplished that.
Mr. Seifert, before you go, would you send out to the board the number of retention by sites,
I can do that, yes.
Why can't we see that?
grade level and by site?
Why can't we see by
grade
school?
level.
You won't have grade, okay,
No, but
then
I'll
by
have by
sites.
school.
Which schools had the retention?
Which schools are failing the kids? Star rating scores. Ooh, Max's play. It's okay. Whenever he comes out here, Joe, he's good. Okay? Just while he's in there, if you guys could man him. He's totally fine to play out here. You what? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. So, as Mr. Seifert said, the theory of action being that we wanted to see, at least to reduce or minimize the impact of the summer slide. There's a summer slide. So you can see on here, there's still some negative numbers in some places because we know that once students leave school, as they sit at home, they begin to see a little bit of learning loss. But overall, if you look at the early literacy numbers, you can see comparatively the top row being the students who participated in summer learning, and just beneath that are the students who did not participate in summer learning. What we did is we took the spring scores and the fall scores and compared those. And you
What, buddy?
I have this jacket on.
You want a jacket on? Yeah, go tell JoJo. Tell JoJo you need a rain jacket. Good job, Max. JoJo? JoJo? Taylor? Hold on. Baby brother's asking you for something.
What I do?
See, baby brother's asking you for something.
What?
Ask JoJo.
What do you want?
A rain jacket. Can you get him like his windbreaker? I think it's hanging on the coat rack out there. Go with JoJo. Go with JoJo.
see that while both showed some bit of a slide, there's less a slide in the students that attended the summer learning. You can see the
Because they
same with
went
reading as
until
well. In fact,
school
with reading,
started.
it's slightly positive. But again, we're looking at this overall, the message with this being we reduce the summer slide. So while we may see positive numbers in some place, overall, what we're really trying to say is Not so much that we see gains, compared to students not making gains, but really the overall with this is, again, we're seeing a lessening of the summer slide.
I don't
And you can see
understand
again with math in particular, where
can't see
students that
anything.
didn't
I don't even
participate
understand it.
saw somewhat of a bit of a tiny loss as compared to their peers who didn't. So you can see, and as we look across different schools and things like that, of course, there's some variability among the schools, but generally speaking, for the number of students that we looked at, and that's the good thing, is we had a good sample size, we see that it did in fact reduce the summer slide, which is what we're looking to do. And then we also reached out to parents, out to the teachers and the community partners that we had to get feedback from them on, what are some things we can do better, and what are some things that they saw that worked. And so we really kept the questions, generally speaking, for teachers and parents pretty consistent. So what we did is we asked them about the academic components of the program. And again, you can see with the green, these are the people who said overall yes, that they felt like the summer learning academically was sufficient. And you can see it's overwhelmingly positive. We're looking at about roughly almost 92%. And then next we asked about the social emotional supports that were in place, because again, we also had curriculum and personnel for that as well. And again, you can see with the green, overwhelmingly positive from feedback from the parents. Community partnerships, did that enhance the students' experience? And again, overwhelmingly, you can see yes, it did. So the
It's
feedback
nice
we
you
got
guys give all these parents
was very
surveys.
positive from parents about the program. Next, we talked to the
you want to go
teachers.
play in my car?
And again, same thing. Did they find that the
Just
curricular
unlock the two
materials
side
were
doors then.
sufficient and met the needs? And you can see again,
Yeah, just
and that's a
unlock it
tough
open.
audience because
Like
they were the ones
press
using
the
them.
clicker to open.
But they weren't on the end of it. They were on the front part of it. And again, same thing with social emotional. Again, you can see that at 95%. And did they feel that the community partnerships, those experience enhanced the summer learning for students? And again, overwhelmingly yes. And lastly, our community partners. So we polled the partners really with a different set of questions. Was the physical space that they had adequate? And you can see again, overwhelmingly positive, a little bit of work we can do there. But 100% of them felt like the scheduling at the site supported their program, and they all said that they wanted to come back. So again, that was another good positive from our community partners that say, yes, we want to participate in this again next year. But we also looked at the comments, and we tried to, from that, and this is a very cursory look at it, but these are some of the recurring themes that we saw from the feedback that we got from parents and teachers and community partners. So for parents, one of the things we heard a lot was that they thought the summer learning was fun, their kids were excited to go. A lot of them were very appreciative of the fact that we had an opportunity for students to ease back into school, and we heard that a lot from a lot of them, especially for younger kids where they may have spent their kindergarten year at home and they've never been in a school.
How boring.
And so we heard a lot from parents saying, hey, my pre-K student, my kindergarten student, my first grade student had an opportunity to ease back into school, and I know that that was a relief for them because we heard it a lot. Also in the feedback, I wanted to include an area where we can grow. And so one of the things that we did here, and it was generally seemed to be from more intermediate parents, where they wanted more opportunities for remediation. And again, that was not the point of summer learning, but one of the things that they did say to us is they would appreciate if there were more opportunities for remediation, and that's something that we're looking into now.
So like actual
Teachers, and again, I saw this a lot in the feedback, enjoyed teaching with less pressure. And as we all know, last year was a tough year for teachers. It was a tough year for all of us, but especially a tough year for teachers. So to hear them say it was nice to come back to something more relaxed, to spend time with the kids in a different way, was something that we were really pleased to see.
No, there's
Pleasantly
teachers
surprised
like
to
this,
find
huh?
that teachers were saying that. The other thing is that they enjoyed the summer learning materials. We got a lot of good feedback on the materials, the lit camp, and so they like that. Again, going with a grow item from them is some of them suggested perhaps longer days with fewer weeks. And we actually did kind of look at it, and if we can look at, ending up with five weeks of instruction in 4 weeks if you add a little bit of time here and there. So that was something, we did hear that from parents as well in some places. And lastly, our community partners, and again, they were overwhelmingly positive. They all wanted to return, but one of the things that was a bit of a challenge in some places was scheduling. Scheduling around the other activities, and also in having different personnel Sometimes something may be set up under one arrangement, and then, you know, as they go through the summer and personnel changes, there may have been some difficulties with scheduling. So that's also something that we're looking at to come up with some ways to consistently put some procedures in place for that. But again, overwhelmingly, the feedback was very positive. Mr. Seifert?
Thank you, Mr. Excited about the feedback. We'll continue to look at those comments, and as we use that data, we're going to use that to work with our timeline here, and we're in the process. Wanted to put a timeline together so you know where we're at over the course of this planning phase for SLE 2022. If you can see that we're in the process right now of creating those planning committee. We'll have an initial meeting in September. Those will include, again, community partners, principals, lead facilitators that were at the school, lead administrators that were at the school sites, some teachers, district staff. So we have the right personnel to be able to make the right decisions. We'll continue that through October and November. We are going to do a different, create a registration app that will help with the collection of data. It'll be probably similar to our magnet process, so we can have students sign up and we know who they are, where they're at, and we have the right data to work with. And then we'll continue developing, getting those apps together. December, we're going to try to finalize all that, finalize our community partners, have a board presentation in January, and then start posting for positions in February, open the registration process in March, close it at the end of April, and then as we look at the number of students, develop the staffing, and then we begin the summer learning experience 2022 in June. So that's where we're at right now.
Mr. Seifert, in your planning, would you allow and plan for some circumstances where people may have to register or end up registering after these deadlines?
And again, that's open right now.
Literally,
so that's
Muskogee County always says you have to do this by this day. You have to do this. You have to do it this way by this day, blah, blah, blah. And then when that passes, they say you have to do it by this day. Then they say you have to do it by this day. And then in the end, none of them do it. So those of us who do it right and do it on time and whatever, just see notice after notice of the new date and the new thing and the new whatever. Nobody has to follow any rules. Register whenever the heck you want. Whatever.
can be an opportunity where we may need to look at, because there may be some schools that need to put some, really encourage some kids to get into the summer learning experience. So we'll have to build that in. Again, I want to close by saying we think we've met our theory of action. We think we've engaged the kids. We use data associated. We incorporated stakeholder input. We increased the number of teachers and students participating, and we believe we reduced the impact of learning loss over the summer. While we're not there yet, I think we got a good start, and look forward to the next opportunity for the Summer Learning Experience 2022. Thank you.
I got a question. I thought this was a one-year summer. Are we doing it in multiple years? Because I assume, and in a second question on top of it, the 8.1 million, is that above what we had anticipated the budget for the summer learning school?
I think we were right at about $8 million.
Right, exactly what we were right at, $8 million projected for it. And we will continue it in future years, yes. That's, if you'll recall, the ARP funds are allocated for over a 3-year period with a possible fourth. And that's our plan, is to try and do that and expand the summer learning to provide some additional course advancement options for high school kids as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
2.02, and that's the high school textbook adoption. And who is bringing that presentation?
Ms. Watt, our Executive Director of K-12 Curriculum, and we have Melissa Nemi, our Secondary Science Content Specialist.
Good.
Good evening. I'm Lori Watt, Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and we are bringing to you this evening our Science Curriculum Instructional Resource Adoption recommendation for our high school students. As we discussed earlier in the year, we already presented to for the middle school program, which is already being delivered and put into place because of your approval last month, I believe it was, and or 2 months ago, and thank you so much for that support. Tonight we bring to you the high school adoption. The timeline that we looked at, and you'll see that it was back in 2019 when we began, and that was due to the pandemic having us delay. We had the initial research and development of the review instrument that all teachers that were involved in the process used during their review of the publisher's materials. The District Instructional Materials Adoption Committee was established for all high schools. There was one for high school, there was one for middle schools. And each high school was invited to submit a teacher to be on that committee. And there was representation from all schools. There was also representation from principals, one from each region, which was recommended by the region chiefs. And it also included our technology department, ESOL, and our SPED department. So we had representation from across the district for looking at those materials, reviewing them, researching them, and making a final decision. We received those materials during that time. And, excuse me. With the committee, we reviewed the policy and guidelines that we use for textbook adoptions. And we also reviewed the rubric for a consistent evaluation across all materials to make sure that we were looking for the same things. The evaluation included the review of the materials. The top publishers were identified based on the rubrics from the scores from those rubrics that we just discussed. And then the publishers, the top two, were asked to come and present those materials again to that same committee so that they could delve a little deeper, ask the questions. And then from those, we made the decision for the presentation to you, to the recommendation. They were submitted to the Department of Curriculum and Instruction first. We looked over those reviews and their recommendations. We met again with that committee to make sure that was what they were still wanting to move forward with, and then started negotiating with the publisher for professional learning. And of course, for tonight, our recommendation to you, the board, and the superintendent. Sorry about that, I never clicked that. The instructional materials evaluation assessed and evaluated for a high quality science education. During the review, we were looking for standards alignment, phenomenon-based content, three-dimensional science learning, math and literacy integrations, instructional design and support, and engaging materials, which we of course find high on the list, especially at this time. We also evaluated for equity and accessibility, and that included supports for all diverse learners, gifted English language learners, and special needs also. And then the consideration for multiple learning styles, cultural responsiveness, and connections to the real world scenarios that are relevant to all of our students. We evaluated the resource on its organization and presentation of materials, and that included ease of use, the visual aesthetics, the logical organization, and clear and consistent layout. And also, we evaluated the assessments that are included within the program, and that included formative and summative assessments, the different learning paths that students can take, and authentic assessments such as portfolios, projects, and other types of activities that go along with that. The committee's final recommendation is actually 2 due to the breakup of our courses run. And so for the four core, the 4 main, they have recommended discovery education for biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science. And Savas Realize for environmental, forensics, physical science, anatomy, and zoology. And to further discuss the actual resource itself, I'm going to turn this over to Melissa Nemi. She is our content specialist for secondary science.
And Melissa, unless somebody has a question about these things, in the interest of time, if we just look at the reviewers' comments and just touch base on those, as well as maybe just the package, just what is incorporated in the package there, just so we can, I hate to do that to you, but I think in the interest of time, just to help people get
It's a really nice presentation, I promise. But that's no problem. So our 2 recommendations.
And just to iterate,
Yes.
you know, Dr. Edmondson is smiling
Yes, he is.
down from heaven. So he would keep us here
Yeah.
to hear every slide and every aspect of it. But I think, you know, we can kind of get the gist.
Yes, and I'm so appreciative. I just wanted to tell y'all that I've heard from so many of our middle school teachers that they and their students are just so excited about the program that has already been approved by the board. So they have started to implement it, they have taken hold of it, and they're so excited. So I know the high school teachers are, you know, thrilled about this presentation tonight. So I appreciate being here. So Discovery Education, they offer 4 main courses: biology, chemistry, physics, and earth systems. And they are a completely online digital resource. They are unique though in the sense that because it is Discovery Education, and we all know Discovery, they offer us a site license for each high school. So in addition to the tech book, which is their textbook, the entire school will have access to what used to be called United Streaming, which is now Discovery Experience. So every teacher in the school will have access to that. So that's kind of a bonus for us. Discovery also offers social emotional lessons. They offer lessons on cultural scientists and women in STEM. They have some literacy integration tools. They have immersive readers. They have Lexile scoring, which allows the students to actually, when they read through and they take their assessments, it'll automatically adjust their reading level for them. So that can customize personalized learning. They have ELL tools for translations. Some of the reviewer comments, let me go through these, go to the group comments. Discovery Ed offers clear opportunities for differentiation, STEM connections, and engaging phenomenon that facilitates student inquiry. The resource would aid teachers as we make the shift to personalized learning because it allows us to present information in multiple ways. The program lets students track their progress, giving them ownership in their learning. There are so many ways for students to interact with the material in this program that I can address all learning styles with Discovery Ed. With the STEM in Action and Science News, I'll always have an answer to the question, why do I need to learn this? So those are some really great comments from our teachers. And Savas will cover all of the additional courses that we offer: anatomy, astronomy, environmental, forensics, physical science, and zoology. They have a physical textbook along with an online platform. They have cross-curricular lessons. It's completely customizable. There's lots of opportunity for student data. Both programs offer district administrative access and school administrative access. So school administrators can also see what teachers and students are doing on the platform. One of the good things about Savas, they start each lesson out with case studies. They use real-world data, and they have connections to local issues. So they encourage students to participate in citizen science that affects their local community. Some of the reviewer comments. Every chapter in the environmental science textbook starts off with a case study which introduces students to real-world environmental issues. This is great for new teachers. Every chapter has a before you teach as a refresher for teachers and a planning guide to help with pacing. Lots of features for differentiation. Every lab offers 4 different versions, and remediation and enrichment can be assigned to students based on their assessment scores. It's very versatile for students. You can download the textbook to a mobile device like a phone or tablet so students can use it anytime. I like the way that I can upload my own material to be used in the digital platform. That way I can tailor it to my students. So the Mcsd Package. We will get hardback textbooks. They will also get a reading, note-taking, and study guide. Teacher's editions, a teacher resource kit, teacher resource toolbox, and differentiated instructional resources. Professional development plan, and that should say 6 to 12. But it'll be modeled after the successful ELA math and social studies rollouts. Instructional coach, learning walks. They do have on-demand professional development for both resources.
How are you gonna roll that professional development out? Again?
That they offer virtual professional development. So they will attend virtual training sessions.
And for this specific adoption, when are we going to, when will the teachers, when will we start using this, and when will you have an opportunity to do the professional development? So that it's across the district?
As soon
Yeah.
as we get the go-ahead. And Discovery Ed, once it gets approved, Discovery Ed can go ahead and turn that on right away along with Savvis and the digital platform, and we can get them training as soon as possible.
So
And I
were
would
you gonna
think-
train?
With the materials having to be ordered and, the Discovery will come on as quickly as possible. We do have an October PD day that we could possibly get them trained in if we get everything in order by then. If not, it would have to be either an after-school or a January PD day. A lot of these teachers have used this materials. We've had some access that they've had and will know how to use it. They'll certainly get a start, but we can delve deeper in our January PD day if we aren't able to get it to them ahead of time.
Okay. Ms. Chambers?
Okay. I noticed on there it mentioned, some virtual options in that if a child is home for quarantine or for sickness or whatever, it looks like that there are videos and things that they can watch that can kind of help them cover the materials that they might have missed, which I think is, a great option, because as much as, we can have a textbook or worksheets, the more they can watch and interact with, even if it's that, I think that's a great asset to this.
No one's at the house except the dog.
I'm assuming I don't care. Hold on.
The interactiveness of this is gonna be awesome. I think the kids will definitely enjoy it, and they will get excited about it.
All right, let me see if I can pause this. I think there's a way that I can pause recording. Hold on. Oh, it worked. Okay, my bad. I won't just walk away. I have no clue what we're talking about here, so geez, maybe I should just go back. Hold on.
So when they take their assessments, the teacher will get detailed data reports.
Okay.
And it will give them suggestions as to what level. And as the students go through and read and answer those questions that are embedded, it will start to adjust the Lexile level for the reading passages.
Excellent.
And so that is, our teachers really, really like that because it takes a lot of the work off of them. Right. And, with a regular textbook, you can buy like 4 versions of a textbook. You have them right there in the program.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you so much.
I want to say one last thing is we had a great group of teachers and a few of them came out this evening. Unfortunately, a couple of them had to leave, but I would like Ms. Nemi to introduce the one that did stay with us this evening. In case you had any questions from a teacher, I do want to make sure she gets recognized.
Yes, this is Erin Melton from Shaw High School. You want to come up and say hi? She was one of the teachers that helped with the review of the materials, so she is here to speak on behalf of her peers.
Absolutely. As Shaw has a large ELL population as well as SPED populations, and I'm very excited. Ooh, sorry. Shaw has a large ELL population as well as our
These are
STD
the
population.
science
I'm very
teachers.
excited about the differentiation
cloth
that is already built
masks.
in for both.
Okay.
And like she said, it's gonna take a lot of.
At least this
it's gonna
science
be
teacher
built
is
in
wearing an
Unless that we are
N95.
creating and more that's already there for them to help with their learning.
I thought we were supposed to be saving those for the medical people.
Thank you so very much. Tell your colleagues that couldn't stay, that we had, I think, 7 people or 9 people on public agenda that didn't show. So that means you would have probably been gone too.
I think that some type of baseball started
Yeah.
tonight, and I know one had a first T-ball game tonight, so we appreciate your support.
Yes, yes, we don't expect them to miss that, but I just wanted to give you that humor to share with them.
That's funny that many people
Thank you
didn't
all
show
so
up.
much for the hard
They think
work.
it's funny.
Ms. Watt, Ms.
All right, cool.
Nimi, thank you very much for leading this work too. I appreciate your leadership. Well done.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mrs. Green, that concludes the Education Committee's report.
Oh, how gay.
Up
Madam
next is
Chair,
the,
the next item, I've already declared that the organization I work for may be involved in, so I'd like to recuse myself out of an abundance of caution on any perceived conflict.
thank you, ma'am. Ms. Chambers? Yes, I will.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. We're going to move on to the Property Committee. 4.01 is the Tax Allocation District Number 8. The superintendent is recommending that we approve by resolution and enter into an intergovernmental agreement between the Muskogee County School District and the Columbus Consolidated Government with a redevelopment plan creating a TAD number 8 for the South Columbus River District. The attachments give you a summary, a copy of the resolution, as well as the intergovernmental agreement. This has actually, it was brought before us last month, so we put it on the agenda for 30 days so that board members had an opportunity to ask their questions and things of that nature. Any additional questions, board members, about the TAD?
How many years is it for?
I think it's estimated to be at 20, but I don't think there's a set time limit. I think it's generally a 20. Is it 20, if I recall correctly, roughly 20 for the TAD?
I didn't see 20 years written in the agreement, but I did see 20 on the listed on the presentation. But according to the agreement, we have 2 voting members, which is our board chair and our superintendent. So everything will have to be approved through. They would have those 2 votes on the advisory commission. All of that is in the agreement. But I may have missed it, but I didn't see the specific 20 years listed.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, because I saw 20 a couple places, and then I
I
saw
did
something
too.
about 15 to 25, but I can look at it more closely. And if I still can't figure it out, I'll let you know.
Okay. Any additional questions?
I'm just reading on this TAD 101, it's saying 10 to 25 years is what it's on the sheet here.
And just to update on the TAD Advisory Committee, the 2 MCSD representations have moved out to staff.
Oh, that's not in the agreement. Okay.
It's moved out to staff. We discussed it last year, so that we need to get that updated.
We
In the
discussed
agreement,
it
we get
last year.
someone
Should have
from
been updated last
operations,
year, but
the superintendent's designee, and then they, because it's presented to us and we voted on it as a board, yeah.
Right. Any additional questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote on that next week. Moving on to 4.02, that's the museum report. I won't read it to you, board members, but there's some exciting things going on at the museum. 4.03 is the library report, and it is also
And Ms.
attached.
Chambers, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Dr. Wright from the TAD group was here, and some of
okay.
his people, we want to thank you for coming, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming. Okay. 4.04 is the surplus technology and textbooks. The superintendent is recommending that we approve the declaration of surplus and sale of out-of-date adoption of textbooks and out-of-date technology equipment, and a list is attached. Any questions, board members, from the property committee? Okay, hearing none, that concludes the property committee, and I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Chambers. Dr. Sly, the discipline committee. Yes, sir. Now, Ms. Tillery, policy.
Haven't been talking much. Okay, it is 6.01, the board self-assessment. The recommendation is discuss board governance team self-assessment and exemplary committee assessment for 2021.
I would just want to add.
This chick is
board
a
members to be
complete
prepared.
disappointment. Everybody
If you
voted
have
for
not
her.
completed it, please
She was
do so,
supposed to fight for optional
so that we
masking,
can
and look at her.
Present
Yep,
it
all
on
masked up.
Monday.
Just used to
Please
just,
let us know if you have not received.
we're
our-
used to it. We knew you wouldn't
because,
actually fight
yes,
for us.
I'm
Liar.
pretty
I just
sure
have
that
one.
that is.
Keep
Oh
your
my
kids in St. Luke's this whole time and then pull them out to put them in Muskogee County School District to keep a diaper on your face to tell all of us you were
Sure,
gonna fight for
I will.
optional masking. That's what you want, but nah, just mask up. Gross.
All right, I'll check and make sure.
Yeah. And 6.02, it's the board meeting schedule change, and the superintendent's recommendation is to approve a change in the board meeting scheduled for October 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. for the regular, the board meeting scheduled for 2021, and approve the October 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. for the regular October board meeting.
Yes, this is the email I sent you previously that I had a conflict. I'm on the board of directors for the Workman's Comp Fund for GSBA, and we also have a backed up with a state superintendent's meeting, so I would appreciate consideration for just moving that meeting back 1 week if that's possible.
Did everyone get a chance to check their schedule?
I will be out of town on that, so if we move it to October the 25th, I will be out of town, but I don't mind zooming in or calling
Okay.
in if that's okay.
All right, yes.
Thank you for your consideration.
Policy Committee 6.03, revised policy, BCBK executive session. The superintendent's recommendation, approve revised board policy, the BCBK executive session, and the revisited affidavit as dictated by the board policy, BDC policy adoption. This policy will be carried over to the October meeting for final adoption. Any questions? Are we good? And then the new, Policy Committee 6.04, new policy FE facilities project planning. The superintendent's recommendation is approve the new, FE facilities project planning. This new policy is created to ensure that all Muskogee County School District facilities meet the requirements to serve persons with disabilities. As dictated by the board policy, BDC,
Like my kid that you won't allow
policy
in
adoption,
schools.
The new policy
You
has been
sit
on the
there
table
with a
for 30
mask
days.
on. I'd hide behind a mask too, again.
So we should be ready to vote next week.
Okay. And I turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Tillery.
Discrimination and segregation still alive and
Next is
well.
Personnel Committee, Ms. Jackson.
Cool.
Okay, Personnel 7.01 is the personnel report, and there are 2 attachments. Are there any questions? Hearing none, back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Cantrell, Construction Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 8.01, Georgia DOE site applications. Approve the Georgia DOE new site application for the new elementary school, number 8, and for Matthews Elementary School 4 classroom addition projects. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Don't have any questions, but just as a reminder, when for the new elementary school number 8, we will have to have public we will have to have the public forums.
Those are
and
being
input.
scheduled for next month.
Okay, so you'll update us? So we can make sure we're available for those of us who want to attend.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on to 8.02, the state capital outlay application. The application for state entitlement funds has been submitted for projects at 16 projects. The total estimated cost of projects is $37,694,000. It is anticipated that $10,350,000 will be in the state funding with local funding and the amount of $27,343,000 to complete the projects. Any questions?
What are the projects?
If not, we move on to 8.03, revised budget for upgrades in the total amount of $6,087,000 for Hannah Elementary and Kendrick High School, and approve the revised budget, which is $264,102 more.
Does he mean Hannon?
Any questions?
Just kind of a general one. As we've seen so much increase in the prices of a lot of our SPOS projects, out of concern of running out of the SPOS money to finish all these projects, is there any?
Why does she sit there the whole time with a mask on just to pull her mask down when she talks? They're all 3 feet apart. But why? How? Like, if you have coronavirus and she's protecting everyone there by wearing a diaper on her face that doesn't stop the small ass particles from going through. If that's what she's doing, then why, my dear educators, every time you freaking talk, you pull down your mask? Isn't that when your mask should be up? Isn't that when you are the most dangerous? So every time the kids talk in school, can they pull down their masks? Is that how we do it? In government buildings, you must be masked with a cloth mask that doesn't work. But when you're talking, take it down. Military does it too. You're all nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense. I just don't even care, you guys. I don't even think I can. Oh my God. I don't even have that much longer left. What is it, 10 minutes left? Ugh.
Anything related to our SPOS budget?
Well, we have capital projects. We could move money around from that, which is available for doing some of that, but it's not a huge amount of money, but we do have that. And then, of course, past SPOS projects that fit with the approved referendum could then be utilized and leveraged in those areas.
Because it does look, last time I looked, that the SPOS revenue has continued to come in very well and even ahead of schedule.
It defies logic.
But I do know it maxes out, so
Yeah.
even, we could wrap it up months before
We could.
the end of the term. And
Your
again,
dumbass things defy logic.
costs are going down, but I know that we've taken a hit from that.
Wood has gone down, other things, steel, still are pretty high level. Do you want to speak to that, Mr. Odom?
Oh my God, I really don't care. Okay, I'm just gonna let this just play out so we can just end this. I just definitely don't want to do this again.
Wood, Senior Director of Plant Services, the wood and the and all has come down. The steel
Is that in
is
CDC
still up,
compliance, guys?
But it's kind of holding level now, but the lead times are still, out
The
there,
school
still
district
10
is
months out.
anti-science,
That's where we are
anti-sense.
Any more questions? Moving on to 8.04, the construction status report. The construction department will submit a monthly status report for all the projects under construction and planning, design, and stage. If you look at all the projects we have going on, it's several right now. The Columbus High School exterior upgrades, upgrading the exterior landscape medium on school property along with Cherokee Avenue along 17th Street, renovate main entrance stairs from Cherokee Avenue to main front door. The Columbus Museum project is going on now. The Hannah Elementary School, Kendrick High School HVAC replacements. Jordan High School ADA parking.
Hey.
The Jordan College and Career Academy. Jordan High School HVAC for 3 or 4 buildings.
Exclamation point.
Matthews Elementary School Cooler Freezer, Matthews 4 Classroom Addition and renovations, the new elementary school at Dawson Elementary School replacement, and Otis Spencer Stadium construction management. Weight room expansions at Carver, Columbus, and Northside High Schools. Veterans Memorial Middle School band room expansions. And that's all. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? If not, Madam Chair, that's all for the construction committee.
Thank you, Mr. Cantrell. Now, final committee is finance with Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 9.01 and 9.02 are both library budget adjustments due to cost overruns in construction, which is running around 30%. These are actually both a little under that. Are there any questions on either the HVAC
I don't
replacement
understand
at
how her
North
voice alone doesn't make
Library
you want to commit
or
suicide.
the,
Is there any questions about
South
that?
Columbus
I
renovation
just want to say thank you so much. This has just been so
I have
exciting.
just one question.
In my many
Dr. Lewis.
years of working
Is
on the school board, it's
North
been my
Columbus, that's the
pleasure
one,
to
across
use
from
it
David,
to tell all of you that
Isn't
I'm
that slated
somebody,
to
but
close?
I'm not really.
Are we replacing that?
I think Mr. Hartness can speak to that.
Why can't they ever fucking answer the questions?
Yes, eventually. The
The
2020.
only reason I ask is because I believe it was in the last SPOST, wasn't it?
Indeed. Yeah, we're applying to the state this fall for a capital outlay grant. We're probably looking at 5 to 7 years before we'll get that.
Okay.
But meanwhile, the air conditioning is currently failing, so, and it's original equipment from '93. Yeah, it can't wait that long.
Enough said.
Start praying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Start
All right,
praying.
thank you. Yeah, I just,
Or
I thought I
instead,
remembered that.
take your
And
millions
I
and
wanna
millions you're
also
wasting
point out to board
elsewhere and
members that these
upgrade
are-
all the
these cost
HVAC.
overruns are both coming out of the library's budget. That takes us to 9.03. This is purchase exception A and B, which you have 10 items before you. This is for the textbook subscriptions, test scoring sheets, et cetera. Do you have any questions on any of those? Seeing none, that takes us to 9.04. This is a purchase exception C for maintenance. You have 3 items for security cameras, again, the library system and school nutrition program. Any questions on any of those? Seeing none, that takes us to 9.05. You have 1 item under purchase exception D, which is for a grease trap for nutrition program. Are there any questions on that item? Seeing none, that takes us to 9.06. This is purchase exception F. You have 7 items. This is under the state and federal contract bid process. VirtuCom is in there for public library. I just love my VirtuCom. Love calling them out. As well as some other temporary staffing solutions. Are there any questions on any of those?
Get rid of masks. More people would want to
Seeing
work for
none,
your
that
school
takes us
district.
to 9.07,
You guys should hire a web
which is
person,
purchase
to
exception
post all
G,
these
professional
dumb things you
services,
hide
and
3
you have 7
hours into a
items
school board meeting.
For that, for various, again, for Dr. Edmondson's Smiles in Heaven, astronomy and physical science, and also covers our contract fees for some of our sports. Any questions on those? Seeing none, that takes us to 9.08. This is the rest are your monthly reports. This is for your sole source and volatile purchases. We see oil back on there. Ooh, and you can tell we didn't have it last month because this looks like about a 2-month budget item. So, any questions? Seeing none, 9.09. You have 4 items before you. These are your competitively bid purchases that include cabling. And school nutrition program. Any questions? Seeing none, the final 4 are your monthly reports, your new budget, your budget adjustments for your federal programs. Donations that I'll say, is an impressive list. We see people who work for the district, and we see organizations, companies, clubs, sororities.
Okay, I'm
that all
done. I
give
can't.
willing-
Like, I'm literally on my phone elsewhere. Nobody's gonna sit here and watch this because I can't even sit here and watch this. Oh my God. Like, oh my God. Like, honestly. I don't even know how she can listen to herself. Is she married? I sure hope so, but I also feel bad. It would explain why she's such a raging.
Education, the science that we're gonna vote and hopefully approve next week. But what is the total cost? There's several, there's a breakdown. Do we know what the total cost? I'm just curious. You can send it to me. But,
Yeah, we'll have to send it to
We
you.
have the
you can send
science
it to me.
people
I
up
just-
all day and we have masks
What
on.
the total
You
cost
do know,
was
like,
of
when
those
I
two
sand
programs.
things, all the sand particles, all that dust is all right
Figure out how to
here.
push the buttons.
Even wearing those
There's two
masks, you
items
do know
under the,
coronavirus particles are smaller than, like, smoke.
Textbooks, exception A.
That's right.
It totals just under $1 million.
We don't talk actual
For
facts.
both
For
programs?
both programs combined.
In totality?
Whatever, I don't care. I quit.
Okay.
We're done. Okay, until next time. I really think I'm just gonna troll watch the public agenda and then just troll the school board's answers, cause what the hell ever. Like this, honestly, I said what I said.